In the courtyard of our old house, where the evening wind still remembers prayers, Father sat beneath the tamarind tree, his eyes filled with years of silence and pride, and I, the dreamer of distant deserts, the poet of unseen hearts, listened as his voice carried through the gold of dusk like a verse of forgotten love. He smiled, that rare curve which softened the dust of his journeyed face, and said, "My son, beauty is not in the shape that dances before eyes. It is in the breath that fills the soul, in laughter that shakes the world like thunder." I looked into his gaze, that calm mirror of seasons and storms, and he whispered, almost laughing at his own rebellion of youth, "I like a fat bride too." The words lingered like incense in the air of evening, simple yet profound, royal yet humble, wrapped in grace. It was not about the flesh, not about the curve of the waist. It was about warmth, comfort, softness, the home within a person's heart. He spoke with the dignity of dunes, the stillness of prayer, and in his eyes, I saw the truth of Fazza's kind, those who love beyond the mirror. "Do not chase the hollow light of thin illusions," he said, "for the moon is round, my son, and even the heavens cherish fullness." His words became a melody I could not forget, a rhythm that hummed through my nights of poetry and longing. I thought of love, not as a fragile petal but as a garden full and wild, where laughter sits heavy like honey on the lips of affection. My heart wandered through the cities of thought, searching for the meaning in his simple confession. "I like a fat bride too," he had said, but what he meant was, "I love what is real, what breathes without fear of judgment." Fazza within me wept at that wisdom, for how many hearts have broken under the mirror's cruelty? How many souls have starved chasing a ghost of beauty? Father's voice became the scripture of mercy in my chest, teaching me that love is not perfection, but peace. He remembered my mother. I could see it in his eyes, the way she would laugh until her shoulders shook, how she filled the house not with perfume, but with presence. "She was my queen," he murmured, "and she was not small." Oh, the way his memory glowed like an old lamp in the wind, the way his heart beat through each word like a drum of devotion. He said her embrace was a kingdom, that her softness was not weakness, but sanctuary. And I, Fazza's son of spirit, felt a tear slide down my cheek, for I knew the kind of love he meant, the one that doesn't fade with age or weight, the one that doesn't measure worth by the gaze of others. In that quiet evening, I became the student of truth. The falcons circled above the golden dunes, their wings shimmering in the light of a descending sun, and I thought even they must envy such wisdom, to love not the surface but the soul's fullness. "Father," I said, "you speak like a poet of hidden verses." He laughed and replied, "Perhaps I was, before the world grew too loud." I could feel his nostalgia brushing against my heart like silk, a memory of youth, of choices made and lessons learned. He spoke of women as stars, each bright in her own constellation, each body shaped by destiny, not by design. His tone was gentle, yet firm like a royal decree. "Do not let the world tell you what to love," he said, "for the heart knows its own hunger, and beauty is not a competition of shadows." His words echoed across the palace of my mind, where Fazza's pen would someday write of love's wild equality. He told me of a girl he once saw in his youth. Her laughter shook the ground. Her steps were soft like prayer, and though others mocked her sighs, he saw the world in her smile. "She could make a prince feel like a child," he whispered, and I thought then, yes, I like a fat bride too. The moon rose slowly behind the mosque's dome, casting light over our silences, painting our thoughts in silver. The call to prayer mingled with the desert wind, and I bowed, my head, feeling blessed by his candor. Love, in that moment, became larger than any form. It became the divine circle, the completeness of existence. How could I not admire him, my father, who wore his truth like a royal cloak yet spoke with a shepherd's heart? He did not need to explain further. His wisdom spoke through simplicity. In those few words, he had undone centuries of vanity. I saw then the women of the world, the hidden goddesses, the ones whose laughter fills the air like perfume, the ones whose hands are soft yet strong enough to cradle dreams. They are the earth, carrying all weight and still blooming. My father's voice became a prayer for them, for every bride who thought herself unworthy, for every queen who doubted her own beauty. He said, love them for their spirit, for the kindness that ripens in their souls like fruit under the sun. He said, love them for their joy, for the way they turn pain into tenderness. That night, I wrote his words in my heart, each syllable wrapped in gratitude, each breath a reminder that beauty is not measured, it is felt. And as the stars embroidered the sky above the royal courtyard, I imagined my future bride, her laughter rolling like thunder across my loneliness, her eyes shimmering with the light of honest dreams, her arms wide enough to hold not just me, but the world I carry. Father's wisdom had become my inheritance. He had given me not gold, but vision. O Fazza of love, the poet of dunes, you would have written sonnets about this truth, that love is a palace built not by appearance but by understanding. I thought of how many men search for perfection, only to find emptiness hidden behind beauty's veil. But my father, my royal sage, taught me that real love is weighty. It fills the air with meaning. He said, when she laughs, let your walls fall. When she cries, let your heart kneel. For her softness is your strength, her warmth your peace. The lamps burned lower, but our conversation did not end. We spoke of mothers and memories, of weddings and wounds. He said, if I could live again, I would still choose the same, a woman who carries the world in her arms, not one who hides from it behind pride or mirrors. His voice trembled, but his words did not. And in that trembling, I heard the music of truth, the poetry that Fazza himself would have wept to write. Because love, my son, he said, is never small, and neither should the heart that receives it be. As the night deepened, I could feel time bowing before his wisdom. The stars seemed to gather around us, listening like disciples of some eternal sermon. I promised him then, quietly, that I would never mock what the world calls different. I would love as he loved, wholly, fiercely, without apology. He nodded, his eyes shining with tears of both memory and hope, and said softly, then your bride will be blessed. And I knew then I would search not for perfection, but for peace, not for form but for feeling. In the silence that followed, I heard the whisper of Fazza's pen inside my heart, ready to write the verses my father had spoken with his soul. The moon looked down, approving, its roundness a reminder of the beauty he had praised. And the wind carried his words far into the dunes, as if the desert itself agreed, singing softly through the palms, love her for the heart, not the shadow. And somewhere, my mother's laughter echoed like a blessing. The night ended, but the lesson stayed, carved in gold upon the walls of my destiny. When I closed my eyes, I could see her, the bride he spoke of, full of grace, full of laughter, full of life. And I whispered to the stars as if they were listening, yes, Father, I understand now, I like a fat bride too. Her beauty is not confined to shape or size. It is the fullness of her love, the weight of her truth, the gravity of her kindness pulling the universe into balance. And in that fullness, I found myself reborn. The morning after that divine confession of my father's heart, I rose before dawn, when the sand still whispered of stars, and I felt a calmness I had never known, as though love itself had settled upon my shoulders like a robe of truth. The falcons stirred in their cages, the camels breathed slow beneath the moon's retreat, and I walked to the courtyard where his words still floated, invisible but present, like perfume that clings after prayer. There, beneath the same tamarind tree, I swore silently to the rising sun that I would love like him, boldly, deeply, without condition, for love was not about choosing a shape, but about embracing a soul. Days turned into months, and life, ever the poet's mirror, began to test the promise I made under heaven's gaze. In the gatherings of nobles, I saw men speak of beauty, as if it were a jewel they could measure, as if love could be tallied by eyes and weighed by whispers. But I remembered my father's tone, the laughter of truth, and I turned away from vanity's market. Then, one evening, beneath a crescent moon, I saw her, the bride my destiny had written in sand and wind. She was not a poem for the eyes alone. She was the kind of poem you feel in your bones. Her laughter reached me before her name did, a sound so rich it seemed to paint color into the night. She moved with the grace of certainty, as if she had made peace with every curve of her being. Her eyes were not merely eyes. They were oceans where storms found rest, and her smile, oh her smile, could have made even the moon forget its loneliness. In that moment, I understood my father's lesson, that beauty is not something you find. It is something that finds you, when your heart has been prepared by truth. I did not speak at first. I only watched, for to speak would be to interrupt divinity at work. When she finally turned her gaze toward me, I felt as though every story of love had led to that glance. She wore no crown, no jewels, no deception of glamour. Yet she stood there like a queen in her own kingdom. Her presence was fullness, her laughter, abundance. And when she spoke, her words fell heavy with kindness, like rain blessing a thirsty land. I knew then, my father had not only spoken wisdom, he had prophesied her. Later that night, as the stars swam above Dubai's silence, I sat by my window and whispered her name to the wind. It sounded like a prayer I had been saying my whole life unknowingly. I imagined bringing her to my father, the man who taught me to see with the heart. He would smile, perhaps even weep, for he would know instantly that she was the one his words had shaped. "My son," he would say, "you have understood the poem I left unfinished," and I would bow, humbled by both love and lineage. For in her laughter, I had found my home. Days passed, and I began to court her not with gifts but with poems. I told her how the desert misses the rain like I miss her when she's away, how her laughter fills the palace halls like sunrise flooding over dunes. She blushed, she laughed, she scolded, all the signs of a woman too real to be imagined. Her beauty grew the more I knew her, for her soul revealed itself in stories and songs, in the way she treated strangers, in the way she forgave too easily and loved too hard. Her heart was vast, a garden of roses and patience. And as I watched her live her truth with no apology, I heard my father's echo, "Do not let the world tell you what to love, for the world measures with eyes, but the wise measure with hearts." When I held her hand, I felt the warmth of something ancient, as if God himself had carved her from peace. She laughed at my compliments and said, "I'm not perfect," and I replied, "Then you are perfect for me, because love is not about the flawless, it is about the fearless, those who love without hiding, who give without shrinking." And she, my bride, was both flame and sanctuary. Our wedding came like a sunrise after years of dusk. The palace was alive with joy, the sky with promise. When she walked toward me, adorned not by diamonds but by dignity, the world fell silent, even the winds seemed to bow. Father sat in the front row, tears gleaming in his wise eyes. He looked at her, then at me, and whispered to my heart without words, "She is everything I meant, my son, everything I hoped you'd find." And I, standing beneath the golden canopy, felt heaven itself smiling through the clouds. When we exchanged vows, her voice trembled with sincerity, and I thought, this trembling is beauty, this truth is elegance. Every breath she took was a verse in the poem of our union. And when the vows were done, my father rose, his old hands raised as if blessing the very concept of love. He said, "May your home be full of laughter, of life, of compassion. May no mirror ever define your worth. May you see each other with the eyes of the soul." And when he finished, the audience wept, not from sadness, but from the holiness of his truth. After the ceremony, he came to me quietly, placed his hand upon my shoulder, and said the words that will live forever in my veins. Now you understand, my son. I like a fat bride too, because she carries heaven in her heart. Then he turned to her, and in his eyes, I saw both pride and tenderness. He said, "My daughter, your laughter will keep this home alive. Never doubt your beauty, for it does not end at your skin." And she bowed her head, tears glistening like pearls, for even she knew that his blessing was more than words. It was a crown placed upon her soul. That night, as we walked together under a silver moon, she asked softly, "Do you think your father really meant it?" And I smiled, pulling her close. He meant it more than anyone could understand. She leaned against me, and I felt her warmth, the fullness of her love surrounding me like light. The desert was quiet, but my heart was not. It sang the song of a man finally at peace. The dunes seemed to rise and bow around us, as if even the earth blessed our union. Years have passed since that night. Father's hair has silvered like moonlight, and sometimes I still catch him watching us. His smile a secret between him and God. He watches her play with our children, her laughter still rolling like thunder over the garden. And he says, "Your mother would have loved her." Then I see a tear escape his old eyes, a tear not of sorrow but of fulfillment, for the cycle of love he began has continued through me. Now, when people ask what I learned from him, I tell them this: my father taught me how to see. He taught me that beauty is a promise kept by the soul, that love does not shrink or starve itself for approval. He showed me that true royalty lies in acceptance, that a heart brave enough to love beyond appearance is a heart worthy of a crown. And so I write as Fazza would write, with ink of memory and the rhythm of grace, that love is not measured in mirrors but in meaning. When my bride enters the room, the air still changes, it grows full, warm, complete. Her steps are the music my days dance to, her smile, the dawn that ends my dark nights. I thank my father silently every morning for teaching me how to love what the world ignores, for showing me that real beauty is weight, the weight of kindness, the gravity of devotion. And I whisper to the wind that carries his name, "Yes, Father, I still like a fat bride too." In the palace of my heart, his wisdom sits on the highest throne. It rules my days and governs my thoughts, reminding me that every love worth keeping is one that does not apologize for being full. When I write, my pen trembles with gratitude, for I know I am not merely a poet. I am a son of truth, and through his words, the world becomes softer, kinder, because when a man learns to love without conditions, he brings peace not only to his home but to humanity. And that is my father's eternal legacy. Now, when my daughter asks me about love, I smile and tell her the story beneath the tamarind tree, of a wise man who laughed at vanity and crowned truth instead. She giggles, her small hands touching my beard, and says, "So Grandpa said he liked a fat bride too?" I laugh the way my father once did, and reply, "Yes, my love," because she was full of joy. Then she claps her hands and says, "Then I'll be like Grandma someday." And I hold her close, whispering, "That's all I could ever wish for you." So the story continues, from father to son, from son to daughter, an unbroken chain of hearts that know the weight of love. In every prayer, in every poem, in every silent evening breeze, I hear his voice again, timeless, royal, and true. "My son," he says, "never forget, love is not about how the eyes see, but how the soul breathes." And each time I hold my bride, each time she laughs and the walls tremble with happiness, I bow my head in silent reverence to the man who taught me that beauty is fullness, and fullness is divine. Now when I write for the world, when Fazza's name trembles in my ink, I write not just of love, but of acceptance, not just of longing, but of peace. For in my father's laughter was hidden the cure for loneliness, in his truth the medicine for shame. And though the sands shift and time will take us all, His words remain carved in gold within my heart. I like a fat bride too, he said, and in that sentence, he taught the world what love truly means. So let the poets sing of perfection. Let the world chase hollow beauty and endless mirrors. I will stand with my father beneath the tamarind tree, listening to the wind that carries the sound of wisdom. For love, like the desert, is vast and deep, and only those unafraid of its enormity will find peace in it. So I bow to the truth he gave me, the truth that fullness is grace, and grace is love. And as the stars watch over my words tonight, I whisper once more to the heavens above, yes, Father, I still like a fat bride too.